two small patches of rubber, about the size of this credit card. That's all that separates you from the surface of the road. But what happens when that road surface gets loose? This week on MCrider, let's look at road surfaces. People who drive cars rarely pay attention to changes in road surfaces. Unless there's ice or snow on the ground, it really doesn't affect how they ride down the road. But on a motorcycle, motorcyclists are acutely aware of changes to the road surface, because things like painted lines, graded grooves in the road, gravel roads, tar snakes, all those kind of things affect the handling of a motorcycle, and it's fed up through the handlebars to the rider, causing them discomfort riding down the road. So this week on MCrider, let's talk about road surfaces and how it causes your motorcycle to handle differently and some tips to negotiate those road surfaces. Now, this topic was one that was suggested by our patrons among some other topics, and I gave them the chance to vote on that a few weeks ago, and they chose road surfaces for this topic. If you'd like to get more involved with MCrider and help select future videos that we're going to cover here on MCrider, go to mcrider.com/support, and you can learn about becoming a patron and help select future topics that we'll cover here on MCrider. Two of the types of surfaces that were most mentioned by patrons that give them problems are gravel or gravel roads and tar snakes. So I decided to tackle those two in this video and give you some tips and pointers on how to handle those scenarios out on the road. For someone who's ridden primarily on the street, and I include myself in that, I don't have a whole lot of experience riding off-road, getting on a gravel road can be unsettling. The bike moves around, you feel feedback through the handlebars as the handlebars will move back and forth as it's adjusting to the pavement or the gravel on the road. You can feel the motorcycle slide left to right as it's adjusting and looking for traction on the road. And all of those things can be unsettling because you don't experience that on a normal basis on the street. And if you do, it means that something's going wrong. So there are things on a gravel road that are normal. That shifting, that movement, that feedback through the handlebars, all those things are normal. But it's usually our reaction to those inputs that causes problems on the gravel road. Let's say, for example, you're riding down a gravel road and you hit a patch of thicker gravel, so a place where the front tire is going to dig in a little bit. It hits that area of gravel, and the front handlebars, you get feedback as that front tire digs into the gravel. You'll feel a little bit of jerk up through the handlebars as the motorcycle's regaining traction. It's that jerk that causes us to react to it because it's something that we're not used to out on the street. And when you feel that jerk or that adjustment in the handlebars, our normal reaction is to chop the throttle or roll off the throttle, maybe even reach out for the front brakes or the rear brakes to slow the motorcycle down. And what that causes the bike to do, because we're going to the brakes or we're rolling off the throttle, is it causes the front end to dive and makes the situation worse because now we're burying the front tire deeper into that gravel. So what we're trying to do as a survival instinct is making the situation worse because we're digging that tire further into the gravel. Not only does it cause the front tire to dig deeper into the gravel, but it causes us to lose momentum. And remember, momentum is your friend. If that bike is moving forward, you've got the two big gyroscopes underneath you that's helping maintain your balance. The more you slow down on the motorcycle, the harder it is to maintain your balance. In particular, when the motorcycle is shifting a little bit underneath you, it becomes more difficult without some momentum to the tires. So the motorcycle's adjusting for the gravel on the road, and it's attempting to maintain traction, and it's providing feedback to us through the handlebars, and it's our reaction to it that causes the situation to get worse. So if we know now what causes the situation to get worse, what are some things we can do to make the situation better and help the motorcycle maintain its path on the gravel road? First thing we can do to help the motorcycle out is to read the terrain. So if we're looking far enough up the road, we can find tracks where other vehicles have been is going to provide a more solid surface. You want to try to avoid, if possible, those areas where the gravel is deeper and stick to those areas in the road where everything is well packed. You want to pick the right line through that. If you're reading the terrain ahead, then you can pick the correct line through the gravel in order to provide the most traction and solid surface for the motorcycle. You also want to use the correct technique when riding through gravel. So what is the correct technique? Well, you want to maintain throttle. All right, remember, if you roll off the throttle, it's going to cause the weight to transfer to the front, putting more weight on the front tire, causing it to dig in further into the gravel. But if you maintain a steady throttle, it's going to keep some weight back on the motorcycle and allow the motorcycle to track easier because the front end is lighter. It's going to make it easier for the front tire to maintain or find traction as you're traveling down the gravel road. Also, rolling on the throttle is going to allow you to maintain your momentum so that you're not slowing down and having to maintain the balance of the bike, but that momentum is going to help you get through the gravel smoother and feel like you're more in balance because the bike continues to move forward. The next tip I've got for you is just to relax. Now, this is one you hear a lot on MCrider, and it applies to a lot of situations, and this is one where it applies as well. If you relax, you're going to help the motorcycle get through the gravel a whole lot easier. That death grip or that natural reaction to grab the handlebars is just being counterproductive to what the motorcycle is attempting to do by regaining traction. So relax. Loosen your grip on the handlebars, loosen your grip on the grips, and allow the motorcycle to track and regain traction as you're traveling through the gravel. The scenes that you see here of me riding on the gravel road, I'm on my Tenere. And you may think, well, that's what that was built for. It was built for riding on gravel roads, and it's a lot easier to ride that on gravel than it is a cruiser. But honestly, it doesn't make any difference. I rode to Colorado and I took some scenic routes into Colorado. I rode dirt roads back on a Honda Valkyrie, a big cruiser, to see some abandoned gold mines while I was up in Colorado. It's the same techniques. A cruiser can get through gravel roads and hard-packed roads just as well as this Tenere can. So it doesn't matter what you ride, these techniques apply, and your bike is capable of traveling on gravel roads just as much as any other bike is. So let's move on to another type of road surface that seems to give riders problems, and that's tar snakes. So tar snakes are that little pieces of rubber or sealant that they put in asphalt and concrete roadways to help seal up the cracks. What gives riders problems with tar snakes is they make the surface uneven. You can feel it as the motorcycle rides over it. And that tar gets soft, especially here in the Texas heat in the summer. That tar gets really soft, and you can feel the motorcycle adjust and move around as it's going over them. Now, generally in a straight line or straight section of the road, they don't affect the bike too much. You may feel a little bit in the handlebars, a little bit of feedback as the motorcycle goes over these tar snakes if they're parallel to the road that you're riding on. But in corners is where it seems to get riders the most attention, because you got the motorcycle leaned over at full lean. You hit one of these tar snakes, motorcycle's going to adjust, or you'll kind of feel it drop down a little bit further into the corner, which can cause you a moment of anxiety if you're at a pretty steep lean and you hit one of these tar snakes. Not to mention in the rain or wet weather, they become particularly slippery, kind of like the painted lines that you'll find at crosswalks and on the street. They become slippery like that when you hit those in wet weather. So hitting a tar snake mid-corner causes a reaction on our part. right? We've got these survival instincts that are not always conducive to keeping the motorcycle upright on the road. So we've got the motorcycle leaned over, we hit a tar snake, and the motorcycle adjusts, or it drops down a little further, the lean angle further into the corner. Well, what's our normal reaction to this? First thing we're most likely to do is to chop that throttle or roll off the throttle. That makes our cornering worse because now we've had a balanced bike and we create imbalance by chopping the throttle or rolling off the throttle. We may even reach out and grab the brakes if it startles us enough, and aggressively going to the brakes mid-corner is a bad idea as well. It may cause us to look down to see what our motorcycle just ran over, and again, we should be looking through the corner, looking where we want the motorcycle to go, and we've just made the situation worse by taking our focus off what our ultimate goal is getting through that corner. So at best, we go through there, we hit a tar snake, and some of these reactions take place. We chop the throttle or we look down at the tar snake to see what we hit. And at best, we have a really ugly corner that causes us to go wide and causes us anxiety about the next corner we approach, wondering if there's tar snakes in that one as well. At worst, those things that we did to survive the corner cause us to run wide, and now we're in the ditch on the opposite side of the road looking for somebody to help pick us up and get us out of that situation. And later the next day, we're making a YouTube video about it, and we're telling people what went wrong through the corner, and we blame it on tar snakes. We say those tar snakes caused me to crash in the corner, when in reality, it was the tar snake and your reaction to it that caused the problem. So if our reactions, our normal reactions, cause us more problems through the corners with tar snakes, what are some things that we can do to make the situation better? First tip I can give you for dealing with tar snakes is to make sure you're always looking ahead. All right, so I'm approaching a corner. I'm going to look through that corner as I approach the corner, and I'm looking for things like tar snakes or gravel in the road, those types of things. If they catch me off guard, if a tar snake catches me off guard, it's usually the fault of me not looking well through the corner, right? So there's situations where there's going to be blind corners and you can't see too far up the road. But in most situations, it's because of poor head and eye placement or poor eye movement through the corners that's causing me not to see those ahead of time. If we see it ahead of time, we can solve the problem by picking the right line, right? So my second tip is to pick the right line as you're going through a corner with tar snakes. You want to try to avoid them if at all possible, and if not, you want to try to hit them as much at a 90-degree angle as possible so that they have the least amount of impact on your traction and your adjustment on the motorcycle as it goes through the corner. And my fourth tip for you on dealing with tar snakes in corners is this: always, always, always keep lean angle and traction in reserve when navigating corners out on the street. If you approach a corner and you're at full lean, you're at max lean, you're using the max amount of lean angle you've got available, and you're using the maximum amount of traction that you've got available, you hit something like a tar snake, it could ruin your entire day because you've got no margin for error. But if you approach a corner and you leave traction and lean angle in reserve, the motorcycle has more than enough traction or lean angle available to deal with something as simple as a tar snake. And also, just like dealing with gravel, the key is to relax. If you're looking through the corner and you see those tar snakes ahead of time, you know that your bike is about ready to roll over it. You know what to expect from it. You know from watching this video that there's going to be a slight adjustment through the handlebars. You're going to feel a slight adjustment in lean angle as the motorcycle corrects itself to maintain your path of travel. If you can relax on the handlebars, allow the motorcycle to do what it needs to do to maintain traction for you, you're going to be in a much better position at the end of that corner. So what did I miss? Did I miss any particular points or tips that you guys got for dealing with gravel roads and tar snakes out on the road? I'd love for you to leave a comment and allow myself and other riders to learn from your experience as well. So if you've got tips of dealing with these two hazards, let us know. Or if there's another particular road hazard that you would like to discuss, leave a comment below and tell us what those problems are or how you deal with those out on the street. If you'd like to get more involved with MCrider and help select future topics, you can learn more about becoming a patron at mcrider.com/support. And if you support us on Patreon, you'll get a chance to select or suggest future topics. And at the $5 level, you can actually vote on what topics will be covered, like this video today. So till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. And I tell you, this video stuff is hard work. In order to make this video, I had to go for a 4-hour motorcycle ride north of DFW to try to find gravel roads. Just think about that, 4 hours on a motorcycle in order to provide this video for you guys. I was out looking for gravel roads and I came across this really cool old-time grocery store. Went in, they had this grill in the corner where they were cooking burgers, and it was one of the best hamburgers I've had in a good while. I found this old abandoned hotel that I had to get out and inspect, and it was really cool to kind of take a look at that and walk around a little bit as well. So this is tough work. I enjoy it a whole lot. I want to thank everybody that supports me on Patreon and that provides encouraging comments on Facebook and here on YouTube. All the people that are supporting this channel. I hope I'm continuing to bring value to you guys, and thank you for allowing me to do this and to bring these videos to you guys. So once again, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider. Till next week, we'll see you on the road.